Good morning, everybody. Just getting ready to do some analysis this morning, get ready for the trading day, the trading week, and yeah, just taking a look at what we got going on. So looking at right here, S&P 500 futures. This is the 15-minute chart, and just kind of pulled this up right here to get a feel for what's happening over the past few days or a few weeks, really. And then, of course, with our overnight, we had kind of a flat overnight session, and we're starting to push up here in the pre-market. What I want to point out is, we'll look at the bigger picture in just a minute. We'll zoom out to like the 4-hour and 8-hour charts. But here on the 15-minute, you can see, we've had these big retracements down. We've been kind of in this sideways range. And as we're building up here, we kind of had this previous little consolidation, and then we pushed up out of it. And then we're starting really to kind of create some stability up here. So over these past, honestly, it's over a week. We're looking at about 9 days or so of just this sideways price action. And we popped out the bottom of it at the end of last week and then rallied back in the same day. I think that was Thursday, where we sort of had this big, it almost looked like it was going to be a trend down day. And then we bounced off this demand area down here and sort of rocketed back up. And so this looks pretty promising. And I did a little post-market video on Friday. I don't always do stuff post-market, but the title of the video was that I'm cautiously optimistic. And the reason why is, this looks good. It looks good that we're building some stability up here on the upper end of this range. But the one thing I want to be careful of, and of course the rally Friday looked great. But if we look at that, still throughout this whole sort of area, we have this very nice bell curve. Now we're starting to build more volume up here, which is good. So if this continues, and most of this is from Friday and the pre-market, right? This little spike right here did not have a lot of volume on it. So a lot of this is from now. So if we continue to build volume up here in the upper end of this range, and even with this volume building, I think that starts to look good for us to have a breakout. But as of right now, what we need to be careful of is we are just sort of sitting around here in the upper end of this sideways range. Most of the trading action has been down here, a little bit of volume here as well, but most of the trading action has very much been down here. And unless we can really build enough price acceptance up here, and especially above, because this was the last rejection right here. And when we look at the bigger chart, you'll see that this was actually a rejection of a previous high. So until we get through some of that and show that we're going to accept price really above these levels, then I just think we need to remain cautious. I have a couple hedges on that I was putting on sort of in this range down here. I'm a little bit underwater on them now, which is fine. I may add a little bit. I put them on using NASDAQ because it's a little bit weaker looking. So I'm going to keep those on until we sort of break out of this kind of price action. And we'll look at the NASDAQ, or I'll look at the NASDAQ too to make that determination, because it can trade a little bit differently. So that's sort of where we are from like the past sort of intermediate time frame. We're in the upper end of this area. We're above value, right? So it's like either we're going to hold up here and break out, or we're going to just come back down at, I would think, at least to 4,200 or so. Maybe retest some of these lower areas that we have some key levels on. These key levels are from, if we zoom in a little bit, we had this nice strong impulse up here, right? And then this was all Friday. So Friday was just a trending day. And then we've just been sideways since the end of the day Friday. So when we look at this move and where was the demand created that basically ignited this move, and it was down here. So if anything needs to get retested, it's going to be down here. You might get some, I don't know, you might just test this wick, but I doubt that. There's very thin volume through here. So I think there's a decent chance that we could spike down and touch this. Wouldn't be out of the ordinary, and that would bring us right around to, again, where the center point is of this, the average price of this range. So I think that's something that we need to be aware of right now, based on volatility readings, if I was going to be day trading, I'd be cautious about trend following strategies. But there still is a bit of volatility. And like I said, if we start to push up out of this stuff, then we could have another trend day on our hands. We'll have to see how the market plays out. Let's just zoom out real quick and look at the bigger picture for a moment. There are a lot of drawings on this chart. I kept this teal channel on here. This was this low to this high. You actually see it a little bit more clearly on the 4 hour, right? So this low to this high. And then we've just sort of been hovering right above it. So I wanted to keep that channel there as a reference point because the top of it has been acting as our sort of support. We came down and touched and tested this demand area a little bit, but we're kind of holding above this. And this is what I need to see. We need to stay above this. The fact that we're even more above it and above this white channel now too, because this is actually the bigger channel from our 8 hour. We need to really stay above here. We need to build more volume above here. See, we're holding in the pre-market, which is good. If we hold up here above these levels, like above 42.10, then I think we look good for another rally and to retest our all-time highs, which is over here, right? You can see this was that previous attempt and we got pulled back down, but then I think we're good for a retest of those highs. And the way this price action is looking, I think that's very possible that we can do another little rally and then see how far it takes us. But this has been very sideways. Ultimately, we've been sideways since the middle of April, really. And I'm a little bit cautious of any rallies. I'm a little bit cautious of going too heavily long until we are very clearly out of this stuff. So I put a few hedges on, like I said, just in case we do a little pullback. We could test some of these lower areas and get rid of these things. And that will, just to protect myself. So if we fall down, I've got some long-term positions on with the stops are way down here, but I could, just get some little profit off of those drops. And if we don't, then I just take those hedges off at a loss and no big deal. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, big picture. So we're basically, again, we're just, we've been looking at these same channels for weeks now, weeks. And the hourly is not too exciting because, again, we've just been in this sideways action. We're breaking up out of it. I think that's very promising. I think it looks good. I wouldn't be surprised if we need to test some of this stuff. But, I think this price action looks nice. I like to see the volume that is building up here. By up here, I mean up here. And what I'd like to see is that this volume continues to elongate upwards. If we just build here, and this becomes a really pronounced high volume area, then that might be indicative of new shorts being initiated, essentially. So you got profit taking from the longs and then new shorts being initiated. What we want to see is that volume builds up here, but it continues to elongate upwards. If it just starts building out, then we need to start being cautious. Doesn't mean that we couldn't have still a little bit more upward movement, but often that's a sign of new shorts coming in and initiating new positions to the downside. So we'll be watching that. I'll definitely be watching this kind of profile here from the 1 hour chart. And then, 15 minute as we zoom in, nothing really to report here. So we, really testing this last probe up here. And again, this did not have a lot of volume on it, I think, comparably, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me take a look. Let's just do a little comparison. If we were to, see how thin the volume was up here? We never really got any kind of acceptance, and so we ratcheted down. Compared to now here, we're building more volume, we're building more price acceptance. See, here the point of control never really came up. Here we're building that value upwards. So I think this is looking better for continuation than this. This was not looking good for continuation. If you were long at the end of this day, just without much volume building, I think there might have been some early warning signs there. I say this day, but this was actually overnight trading. So we're kind of watch that. Nothing really to report as we go down to like a 5-minute chart at this point because the pre-market's just been pretty sideways. So I'll be watching this. Obviously, we want to make sure that we can take out these highs. If we don't take out these highs, then we're just stuck in this. And that's what we want to make sure that we're not too much, jumping into like trend following long strategies at the top of this thing, and then getting into areas where there's just been very little price acceptance, and then we just keep coming back down. But I do like the way that volume is building way up here. Um, I don't like that we're starting to build some down here. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. It's a little bit, I don't really have like a super strong bias today, I guess, is what I'm getting at. It's a Monday. Friday's price action was really strong, but we are very much still in a broader sideways range until we get out of this. Again, it looks really like this looks really promising to me. Looks really promising to me. But I'm just cautiously optimistic. Let's just take a quick look at the NASDAQ. This chart's a little bit sloppier. I don't do as much trading on the NASDAQ, but it's a weaker chart. You can see we're nowhere near our all-time highs here. And so that's why I put my short on, because the NASDAQ is bumping right up against this demand area. And it looks like we might be trying to chew through it. We've got some other stuff we're going to have to deal with around here as well. So just keeping a close eye on this. Again, I might take my hedges off, but we'll just kind of have to see. There's not a ton that needs to be tested. You can see this was a key area that got tested. This was a key area that got tested on this wick down here. We've got a little bit of a key area here. I'd have to go to a smaller time frame to see what that's from. I don't quite recall, but it looks like it's been a little bit untested there as well. So, there's a chance, again, that we look for some of those areas for the NASDAQ to pull down to. Let's see if we can figure out what that's from there. Yeah, we got this little consolidation, and let's just validate that a little bit, because I don't even remember. Probably put that drawing in there so long ago. Yeah, not like a tremendous thing down there that I think really needs to get dealt with. Is it possible? Sure, of course, anything's possible that we could deal with something like that, but I don't know. Just based on the profile of the auction, I'm just not sure that that's going to need to take place. Really, no matter how you slice and dice this thing, you just don't get anything significant there. There's nothing more significant there even than right here, right? You can make the argument that we'd stop here before we come down there. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see here. I might end up taking these hedges off, but it doesn't hurt to have them on, especially with just the kind of market that we're in at the moment. So I'm going to shut this down and get ready to trade for the day. If anybody wants to join us, we're at dpmtrades.com. Just click on community. We have a free room you can join. And I encourage people to join the free room. We do have a paid area, but start with the free room. See if if you're new to trading, just make sure you're kind of see what trading is all about and that you like it, or maybe you just want to get a feel for the way that we trade, some of our members trade, and see if it's the right environment for you. It's free, so I think that's a nice opportunity for people who maybe don't want to commit to like a year-long membership to a trading room or something like that. So, all right, guys, I'll check in with you later.